Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, 3.
Thanks for joining the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe.
On this show, we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear.
That means we're going to talk about some of the best movies from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s.
So thank you for joining us. Now let's get it started in here.
And thank you for joining us. It is the 35th episode of this show. And the reason we started this show was to strengthen the bond between my son, Zach, and me, Zoe. We watch movies that we love, or that I love when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And we get Zach's impression on these great movies.
If you really love our show, then you can get our merch through our teesprings.com or tpublic.com link at our website, backlookcinema.com.
And please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can find the details in the show notes. You can send emails to fanmail@backlookcinema.com.
Finally, if you like our show, then subscribe, rate, and review.
If you have a load that needs hauling, then look no further than the Pork Chop Express. The Pork Chop Express Trucking Company is fast, reliable, legal, and safe. Nothing will stop Jack Burton from delivering his load. Just call 555-J-Burton. Just 555-J-Burton. All right, we're back. Thank you for sticking with us. And I also want to mention that this is a very special episode, as in this episode, we have a special guest. Now joining us is musician and award-winning author of Love is Worth Waiting For and My Days with the Dark Muse, which are available now on Amazon. Be on the lookout for her next book, Remember Who's Your Man, coming this autumn. She's also the host of the Better 2 podcast, which can be found on YouTube at the Needom channel, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow her on IG at author_d.m.needom, on Facebook at d.m.needom, and on Twitter at Dauna D1. You will find the spellings to all of these links in the show notes, because there are a lot of dots, a lot of underscores, and a lot of ats, and that is going to be challenging. So, with no further ado, our next guest is the amazing Dauna Needom. Everybody clap. Everybody clap, because we don't have special effects.
Thank you.
How are you doing, Dauna?
I'm doing fine, and also the challenge is my last name because the spelling is usually misspelled. So yeah, it's best to see it in writing. But yes,
did I spell it correctly? Because I got it right off of your website.
Oh no, you spelled it correctly, but there's been confusion throughout my life because originally, I guess back yonder it was Needham, and somewhere great grandfather changed the spelling of it. So there you go.
All right, I guess he was trying to simplify it.
I guess
it's like we're moving over to America now. America, they don't like all of these consonants and diphthongs and whatnot. So I'm going to make it easier for these English speakers.
Possibly.
Yeah. So I've been diving into your book, the what's it called? My Days with the Dark Muse. So I've only just started because I'm a really slow reader. It's been a long time since I actually read a book with like words. I'm usually just listening to books. So
understand.
So that has been my challenge, but it's very interesting so far. So in reading the book and in listening to your podcast, I had a couple questions. I can't get into all of them, especially since I have a poor memory. So I am going to just get a couple questions. Please pardon me. I'm a very poor interviewer.
No worries. No worries at all.
So my first question, as well as being an author and musician, you've been a DJ, an actor, a tarot card reader. Which one of these identities are you most drawn to?
Currently, at this moment, I would say author.
All right.
Everything else is kind of giving me the inspiration to be able to write my books.
That's nice. These, at least the book that I'm reading, the Dark Muse book, this seems somewhat autobiographical. Would you say so?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
No. Let me explain something. It is meant to seem like that. It is meant to be someone's journal. It is a bass player's journal. And I when I first started writing it, I actually had posted it as a blog, and because I had been working on another project, and it was just going to be something I tossed out there. And I had rehab centers following me, thinking that this was really a guy who was in trouble with addiction. So I was like, if someone in that profession is actually believing that it's real, you might as well just turn it into a book. So that's what I did. So yeah,
that sounds fascinating. So my next question, hold on a second, because I'm going through screens and screens on top of screens on top of screens. So you seem to identify with rock music. Among which of today's artists do you gravitate towards?
Currently, two of the biggest groups that I follow of the newer music would be Imagine Dragons and Nothing But Thieves. So
now, I'm not familiar with the second group, but I have listened to Imagine Dragons.
Nothing But Thieves is a British band, and I actually found them on Spotify. The one thing about Spotify is, artists that you would never discover, you suddenly, after you listen to your playlist, they start throwing stuff your way.
And, right.
Yeah, I lucked into Nothing But Thieves, and they have 3 records out, and they're pretty cool. Pretty cool. Right. A lot of different style of music, but
I think I might have found a couple of artists that way listening to. I'm on YouTube Music, so when you put out basically a radio station, just play some music, and then you discover artists that you hadn't heard of before that play similar music to your likes. So, being that this is a movie podcast, what are some of your favorite movies?
Some of my favorite movies. The original Star Wars trilogy. I'm going to go there. In fact, in Who's Your Man, I do put a nod in there as the couple refers to each other as scoundrel and princess, because Empire, that scene in Empire Strikes Back where I love you, I know, that has always stuck with me. So that I would say is one of my all-time favorite movies. I saw Star Wars at the movie theater. I can't tell you how many times when it was out initially. And so Star Wars, then there's, I like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. There's so many movies when I sit there and think about that. I realized the movie we're speaking of, I thought I had seen it all the way through many a times. Truth is, I had walked in when my mother had it on or my husband had it on, and I did not actually see the full movie until yesterday. So, but I think that's what happens with cable. We see movies, we gravitate toward them, and it's like, oh yeah, I saw the whole thing. But there's a lot of different styles of movies that over the years have stuck with me. The Matrix movies, those are awesome. Especially the first one. The first one made you really think about it. So
yeah, the first one was mind-blowing. I saw that twice in the theaters, and that's something I rarely do.
And it wasn't just, this big shoot up movie. If you really sat down with the thought process of when I first watched it and I stopped watching it, it was kind of like, whoa, okay, is everything real? Another shout out, and this movie I actually hated the first time I saw it, but it's one of my favorites now, is Moulin Rouge. Visually, that movie is so stunning that the colors and everything and the vibrancy of it it's incredible. And there's a Jennifer Lopez movie that was bad, but the visuals on it are awesome, which is The Cell. So sometimes a movie, you can put it on in the background just to watch because of the visuals. So,
right. Speaking of Moulin Rouge, although I've heard of that movie and I've seen the trailers or whatnot, but I never actually got around to watching it. But I think, so you had 4 superstars that did a remake of Patti LaBelle song.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite songs in the movie, even though I've never watched the movie.
Well, and I have to say this about Patti LaBelle. I saw her at Live Aid, and her mic went out at Live Aid, and we were up in the stands. Now, your son may not know this. Live Aid was a huge concert in 1985. And, her mic went out, and we're up in the stands, and we could still hear her singing just fine.
Right.
The woman is phenomenal. She's got a range and a voice that just is over the top.
Yeah, that's how she changed. What's incredible is that I didn't realize that she was in the movie A Soldier Story.
Really?
And only like me and Zachary, we did that the review. I don't even want to call it a review because it's not like we're judging the movie. We already like them, but so in this A Soldier Story, the soldiers go to a lounge that's off base, a bar lounge is off base, and she is the owner and main entertainer of the bar lounge. And I was like, oh yeah, now because it's like when I'm doing the script or whatnot, or typing up who's in the movie and whatnot. I noticed her name was there. I didn't know she was in that movie, right?
Yeah.
So so she was in that, and her voice and her talent is just incredible.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of Star Wars, that's just, I love Star Wars. I'm still steeped in the Star Wars universe. I'm getting lightsabers. I'm watching The Mandalorian. I'm all about it.
I have 2 lightsabers. I have a bunch of Star Wars Barbies. The Timothy Zahn books, which were kind of skipped over, which I wish they would have made those into the next movies.
Yeah,
those are incredibly
absolutely
awesome. So yeah, I'm a big Star Wars geek. In fact, I had a friend not too long ago. She goes, I didn't realize how much of a geek you were. So the Star Wars Mr. Potato Head stuff. Yeah, I was pretty much Star Wars was my thing back in the day.
Right. So, yeah. Mine as well.
In fact, I still have a coffee mug from 1977, a little plastic coffee mug. And I have my husband's little kid bed sheets that are Star Wars stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right, so let's transition into the main attraction.
Can I say one thing before we do that?
Go ahead.
Anybody that's listening, My Days is a very dark book. However, if you want something a little lighter, Love is Worth Waiting For is a romantic suspense. I just wanted to put that in there because they're 2 very different books. So sorry to toss that in, but I just felt in case somebody else that's not their thing, I do have something a little lighter. So
right. Okay, yeah. So, Zach, what movie did we dive into yesterday?
Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
Jack Burton and Wang Chi team up with the lawyer Gracie Law and sorcerer apprentice Egg Sin and their friends and embark in a great adventure in the underground of Chinatown to rescue Chi's fiance Mao Yin from an evil 2,000-year-old sorcerer David Lopan, where they face a world of magicians and magic, monsters, and martial art fighters.
Wow, that was fascinating. Did you rehearse that?
No.
That was great. That was awesome. That was by IMDb, where we get most of our trivia from. And this movie was released in July 2nd, 1986 by 20th Century Fox. It grossed over $11 million in the U.S. and Canada and on a $25 million budget. And it got generally good reviews.
But didn't make enough money.
Didn't make any money, though.
No.
The people who saw it loved it. So I don't know if I put this in the trivia, but they actually showed it to test audiences. The test audiences loved this movie, but it just wasn't marketed properly and nobody saw it. So we're going to fly through these. All right, Zach?
Yeah, I can see. So it's starring Kurt Russell as Jack Burton,
Kim Cattrall as Gracie Law,
Dennis Dunn as Wang Chi,
James Hung as David Lopan,
Victor Wong as Egg Sin,
Kate Burton as Margot. That's awesome.
Yeah. Also, I love how her name is Kate Burton and the character that Kurt Russell plays is Jack Burton.
Right, I noticed that too. That was causing me no end of confusion. So,
this was directed by John Carpenter
and is written by Gary Goldman, David Z. Weinstein, and W.D. Richter.
Music by John Carpenter and Alan Hartworth.
See,
or Howard Hartworth, yeah.
That's kind of funny to read because John Carpenter, when reading this, I realized, he writes a lot of the music for his movies. So I just now noticed. I'm just now being hip to that. So he's he's very into this sort of thing. So what's next, Zach?
All right, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back to talk about our favorite parts of the movie, some movie trivia, and find out what some of the critics thought.
For over 40 years, Jack Burton has been hauling loads safely and securely with the Pork Chop Express. If you're determined to get your goods where they need to go, call 555-J Burton for the Pork Chop Express Trucking Company. Just remember what old Jack Burton does when the earth shakes and the poison arrows fall from the sky and the pillars of heaven shake. Yeah, Jack Burton just looks that big old storm right square in the eyes and he says, "Give me your best shot, pal. I can take it."
All right, we're back. Thank you for sticking with us. Now, we're about to talk about favorite parts of the movie. Dauna, as our guest, please tell us what were some of your favorite parts of Big Trouble in Little China.
Well, I mean, how do I say this? Kurt Russell is the man. He has always had a phenomenal acting ability. I remember, and this is kind of off the topic with the movie, but him as Snake Plissken in Escape from New York. I mean, when you look at that character versus this character, that character was so hardcore, bad. I don't want to, bad A. I don't know if I can curse, so I'm not going to say it. But
we cursed on we got explicit warnings.
He was hardcore badass, and in this one, he was kind of the geek. Even though he was so tough and built and everything, he always had a way of screwing things up. So
right.
It was nice to see him in that kind of quirky, goofy range. I liked the chemistry between him and Kim Cattrall. They had a lot of bravado. And yeah, there was the whole, when you're looking at the three storms, did somebody watch this movie and decide, hey, Mortal Kombat would be a good fit? You know?
I'm sure Boone and Tobias, they were like, yeah, let's base this game off of those characters or some of our characters off of those characters, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at what they were doing, I mean, there's just the movie, it's a fun ride. That's how you have to look at it. Some of the graphics are, yes, they're bad, but for the 80s, that was kind of the way it was,
Right.
Overall, I think it was, it's a fun flick. And, I think that if you change the actors, it wouldn't have worked. The chemistry, like I said, worked. And it wasn't it was a nod to the Kung Fu classic movies too, which was kind of cool.
Right. Although I could tell by watching this movie, they drew a lot from a lot of the like old martial arts movies from China. Yeah. I mean, that's what it kind of looked like.
Yeah, exactly.
Some parts.
Exactly.
It's like, just in the beginning of the movie, they're just throwing huge groups of Chinese fighters at each other, and you don't even really know what's going on. They're just fighting. And Jack Burton and his friend are just cowering in the truck.
Yeah.
Watching chaos happen around them.
But I mean, when you think about it, we're still doing that today. I mean, wasn't it Kung Fu Hustle that I think that was back out in the 2000s? That was very much the same way. They just kind of threw everybody fighting against each other. And Kill Bill, the scene.
Kill Bill is the same way. But I think that really epitomizes it is John Wick. John Wick really threw it to the wall in that one.
Yes, indeed.
So Zach, what were your favorite parts?
The beginning where Jack is eating and talking on the radio is something I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the most dangerous you can do, especially at night in the rain. I'm like, okay, yeah, go ahead, talk like it's nothing.
Right, a lot of swagger with Jack Burton and that's how he gets you. He gets you with that incredible swagger. That is a very impactful image. Just driving on the road and just cramming a hoagie down your mouth. You just listen to good old Jack Burton. Jack Burton always says, "You see a pothole, you just run right over that sucker."
Then there's the scene. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but that's what was endearing about him. He had all the swagger, but he wasn't that he wasn't that way.
He was basically incompetent.
Exactly. 100%.
Right.
Then there was a scene where him and his friend was making a bet, and they was making one last bet, double or nothing. He's like, okay, I bet you I can cut this bottle in half. He was like, well, not that bottle, this one. I'm like, yeah, that seems fair.
Well, yeah, see, because it could be a trick bottle.
Could be a trick bottle.
Right.
Yep. He's like, cut it, and then he catches talking about reflexes. I'm like, okay, sure.
But the reason he couldn't cut the bottle, he said, is because I think something like his mind and his spirit
talking about, my negative and positive was off balance.
Right.
That's why, because I don't have my wife with me yet. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. He's worried about his fiance coming from China or whatever.
Another good scene is when they do go in the alleyway. They see two different groups fighting. Jack is like, he doesn't know what to do. And then what was his name? Dennis? Yeah, Wong. I just can't remember. Shoot.
Was it Wong? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was
You're
Wong.
the one looking at the phone.
I know. I think it was Wong. And, you know, they're just in the truck watching them. First, it starts out as a gunfight. Then it goes to a straight up martial artist fight. That's when the 3 Storm comes in. It's like, oh, I see Raiden's brother, and then some other guy that's not in Mortal Kombat
No,
yet.
actually, it's all 3 of those guys are based on Raiden. So it's more like Raiden, and Raiden. And
Well,
then
I mean, the
kinda,
one with the long sword is based on his brother, because
one is based off his brother. They basically split off one of them. So they split off Rain. So they made Rain a separate
what's his
character.
name, Rain?
One of them is, they didn't say their names in the movie, but
I'm
I
talking
found
about Mortal Kombat, because his brother is based on Wind.
he has a brother that's Wind, and he has a brother that's Rain. Go and play Mortal Kombat 11.
I know
you
there's Rain. Listen, I know there's Rain,
right
but
after
he's
we
a
finish. You
ninja,
go play that
and
game.
he's not
You
a part
find
of
out.
Raiden's family.
You know what I'm talking
Remember,
about.
he's the Prince of Eternia. That's Rain.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah,
Win
you're talking
is
about
Raiden's
me.
brother, and Rain is the Prince of Eternia. You're
Yeah.
right. I am wrong.
Don't try to outdo me in Mortal
that's
Kombat.
true. You're right.
You're
so,
horrible at that.
You saw it here first, Dauna. My son has corrected me. So he's right. So Rain is actually but they split off Rain. So basically, they have.
I don't even think that guy was. I think he was more Earth based, because that's what he did. He shook the Earth. The other guy had a long sword and he was on Wind, and then the third guy was Lightning.
No, I'm just going off what they said on IMDb. So what happened is that, because you could tell he was raining because it was raining all the time. Every time you saw him, it was raining. Like when he came down the hole. And,
I mean, I guess,
to rescue,
but
to
he used
kidnap
lightning.
the girl with the green eyes.
I mean, I guess, but he still used lightning regardless.
Right. So you got the guy that was Rain, and then the guy that was Lightning, obviously. And then the big guy that you didn't name, his name was Thunder. I don't know why it was Thunder, but because I guess it sounded
because
cool.
He shook the Earth. I'm guessing because he shook the Earth.
Yeah.
That's why. Like whenever he got angry or whatever, he would shake the room, whatever.
Is that what you think, Dauna? Is because he shook the Earth?
I think so. And let's go back to a second. One quick thing. Think about how the movie ended. They left that thing open. They left it wide open for a sequel.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're like, oh look, that monster they got kicked. Okay, yeah, that's good to know.
Right.
Hey, are we gonna get a sequel? No. Okay, then what was the point?
Well, they could have, because they didn't. Let's go back up to the box office. Let's
Yeah,
examine that more closely.
11 million was earned out of the 22 million they used up because of special graphics.
I don't even think it's because of special effects.
I feel like it was because of special
the special
effects.
effects don't even look like they were all that fancy.
No.
It grossed $11 million on a 25. It didn't even make half of its money back. There's no way you can make a sequel off of that.
No. And here's the thing. I mean, you're dealing with the fact that the marketing wasn't there, and it was up against Aliens.
Right. And that was a real big thing. They didn't know how to market this. And that was a problem for studio execs. It's like you have the hero white guy. I don't understand why he's not saving the day. And I think that was their problem.
Yeah.
That was the hang up. Dauna, do you have any more parts that you can think of that you really liked?
There was, I mean, the fact that, the ending fight scene there with when the marriage is supposedly taking place, it was like there was moments where, okay, that Wang and one of the Furies is going to jump. You just knew it. It was like it kept just repeating. It was just the same over and over, but it was fine. Even though it's supposed to be serious, I always saw humor in the whole thing.
Oh, I never took it seriously.
Well, it was a fight scene, though. It's supposed to be this big dramatic fight scene. It was a comedy of errors. It was fun.
Here it is. It's not serious when you have Egg Chin, he's a wizard, and you have Lo Pan, the other wizard, and they shoot like magic lasers at each other.
Oh yeah,
and they combine, and you have like a shadow in the light of them. I guess they're spirits fighting each other.
Yeah,
so, and I'm like, I couldn't help but think of that part in Spaceballs when they had the swords and they were fighting each other with the swords.
Well, and when you think about it, I mean, a lot of it was set up like the video game craze back then.
Right. Yeah, I think so. You could tell because Lo Pan was twiddling his thumbs like he was pushing the video game buttons.
Exactly. I saw that. I was like, is he playing Atari?
Right.
Yes.
So yeah. I particularly liked the part when you had Egg Shen, and he's offering people that potion, and Jack kept like, "What is it? What's in it? What is this stuff?"
Yep.
So that whole scene was a trip. Or like when that they're going to the cave, and the monster just comes out and it yanks out one of the warriors, and he throws.
Or the scene where Jack Burton, Kurt, is fighting. He stabs the guy, and then you can't get him off of him.
Right. Zachary, you look like you want to make a contribution.
Oh, I am. There's when they get into the fight and Jack just shoots up straight up, and he caused rocks to fall on him, causing him to be knocked out. I'm like, oh yeah, that's smart.
He's never around when there's a fight, at least not in the beginning.
Oh no, because even it was I guess it was foreshadowed that was going to happen again, because when him and his friend had a fight off a group, and he was like, all right, get ready. And then he's going down to get his knife. Dan goes around behind. And then after his friend finished all the enemy, he comes out with the guns and the knife. I'm like, what was the point?
His gun with no bullets.
Yeah, he had no bullets in the gun too. So I'm like, you're coming out with a gun with no bullets and a knife. And your friend is already done. He looked at you like, where were you? Right. I'm already done. What was you doing?
Well, and I wanted to comment, he had the gun as he's swimming through the tunnel. He's got the gun, it's underwater, and then he magically fires it. There's no problem with the water at all.
Right.
Yeah, he also has no issues with it, somehow got more bullets for it.
Yeah.
When it came to the final fight, I'm like, where did you get those bullets from? I know you had that gun on you.
I'm thinking
from the entire time.
Maybe Egg Fu, whatever his name is, the wizard, maybe he had some extra ammo.
Sure.
That's the only thing, because that's the only time he had more bullets is when they went back to their headquarters or whatever.
I guess.
He magically had more bullets. He had bullets of every caliber at his headquarters. That's what I'm thinking.
Also, I love how the explanation that his truck was missing was because the three whatever took it for a joyride. And I was like, really? They took that for a joyride? They didn't look like much for people to take something for a joyride, but okay.
Oh, I didn't know that was part of the explanation.
Yeah, they said that the three took it for a joyride because he left his truck there.
But was it the three Furies or was it the three gang members that?
I think it was the gang members.
No, it was the Furies. They said it was the three Furies who took it for a joyride.
Okay.
And he wasn't happy about that his truck was missing and there was nothing he could do about it.
Right.
Even when he got cash with time, I just want my truck, and then Lil Payne was like, no, you don't. You don't want the truck. You're here for the girl. And I'm like, yes and no. Well, he is there for the truck. The other guy's there for the girl. Let's be honest about that.
Well, there was, I guess because he knew there was two girls. But what let me go through like a couple of my favorite parts. One of my favorite parts is when in that same scene that you're talking about. So he was like, Jack Burton's always, I don't get it. And Lil Pan was like, you're not put on this earth to get it.
Yeah.
That was very clever. And another of my favorite part is, Jack Burton and the girl, they're really feeling it. So they kiss for real. And then after they finish kissing, he has a bunch of lipstick on his own face. And then he goes to fight.
Yes.
And then when, he comes back from the fight, before he leaves for the next fight, she wipes the lipstick off of his mouth. Because I guess it was that important for him to clean up. He did have one heroic act. Like, after he bumbled the first time, he faced Lil Pan, he threw the knife, and it misses. And he's like, the expression on his face is priceless.
Oh, I missed.
Even he knew he messed up that time.
Lil Pan picks it up, and with that him talking about reflexes and threw it. I'm like, oh.
Right.
Yeah, that's a callback to the first time.
His reflexes finally work. All right. So, I am glad that we all enjoyed this movie. Dauna, how did you feel about this movie?
Like I said, I have seen it, not the whole movie, but every time I've seen it, flipping through channels or whatever, I've watched it. So I've liked it for a long time. I just always thought, yeah, I saw the whole thing. No, I didn't. So I really liked it. I enjoyed it. It's a fun, check your mind at the door. It's a fun ride. What can I say?
I agree. Zachary, what did you think of this movie?
Oh, yeah, it's a good movie.
So you enjoyed it?
Yep.
I was right once again. Ladies and gentlemen, my clone is my clone.
Stop
what can I say? I was right all along.
No.
Let us transition into trivia from IMDb before he protests too much. Clone!
Oh.
What is the first thing
All right, Kurt Russell confessed on a DVD commentary that he was afraid of starring in the movie because he had made a string of movies that flopped at the box office. When he asked John Carpenter about it, he told Kurt that it didn't matter to him. He just wanted to make the movie with him. He was like, it doesn't even matter. I just need you in my movie.
Right. The Chinese characters in the main title translate to "evil spirits make a big scene in little spiritual states." Now that makes no sense in English, but it makes sense to somebody. All right, Dauna.
I had found out that neither actress actually had green eyes. They both had brown eyes.
They both had brown eyes. They fooled us.
Yes.
They fooled us.
Yes.
And what's the next one that we have?
John Carpenter envisioned a film.
I know it's one in blue.
Okay, that one. It says the three storms were partly the inspiration for the popular character of Thunder and Raiden for Mortal Kombat. Fighting video game series with David Lopan was the inspiration for the evil sorcerer Shang Tsung.
Right. So we had talked about that earlier. The three storms were the inspiration for Raiden, the Thunder God, my favorite character in Mortal Kombat, because it was the first one that I used to what's the word that they use when you just using one move?
Spam
other players. I used to spam the crap out of other players. That was me all day long with Raiden. I can't see Raiden without seeing the three storms, because that's the first thing I thought. I was like, it's the dude from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Zach.
John Carpenter envisioned the film as an inverse of traditional scenarios in action films, with the Caucasian protagonist helped a minority sidekick. Jack Burton, despite his bravado? Yeah.
Bravado was good.
Okay, is constantly portrayed as a rather bumbling in one fight sequence. He's even knocked himself unconscious before the fight begins. Wang Chi, on the other hand, is constantly portrayed as highly skilled and competent. Okay, competent.
Yeah. So and that's why it was not well marketed. But it's awesome.
Yes.
John Carpenter and Kurt Russell explain in audio commentary that the test screening was so overwhelmingly positive that both of them expected to be a big hit. However, 20th Century Fox put so little promoting into the movie that it ended up being a box office bomb. In addition, the film was released in the midst of the hype for Aliens 1986, which was released 16 days afterwards. However, it went on to be a huge cult hit through home video. Carpenter and Russell explained that the reason that the studio did so little to promote the film was because they simply didn't know how to promote it.
And go ahead.
No, I was just saying, go ahead, Dauna.
According to John Carpenter and Kurt Russell in the DVD commentary, the story was originally written as a Western, but Carpenter decided to set it during modern times. They even mentioned that instead of Jack Burton's truck being stolen, it was originally his horse.
Kurt Russell turned down the lead role of Connor McLeod in Highlander that came out in 1986 to appear in this film.
See, we were both yelling at you because you're messing up. Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod.
Exactly, the Clan McLeod.
Even though he doesn't actually say it with a Scottish accent, we kind of put that in there because Christopher Lambert is French.
Yes. Yes, and he looked quite yummy in that movie. Excuse me for saying, but yes.
But that I agree. He looked all right. Although Kurt Russell was John Carpenter's only choice for the lead role, the studio suggested Jack Nicholson or Clint Eastwood. Once they proved unavailable, Carpenter was able to cast Russell. Because they would not have worked.
They wouldn't have, not at all. The interior of Egg Chin's garage office in Fire Station 23 is the same building used as the business interior in Ghostbusters.
That is fascinating. I never would have pegged that. The studio pressured John Carpenter to cast a rock star in the role of Gracie Law, Jack Burton's love interest and constant source of aggravation. For Carpenter, there was no question. He wanted Kim Cattrall. The studio was not keen on the idea because at the time, Cattrall was primarily known for raunchy comedies like Porky's, 1981, and Police Academy, 1984. She was drawn to the movie because of the way her character was portrayed. I'm not screaming for help the whole time. I think the humor comes out of the situations and my relationship with Jack Burton. I'm the brain and he's the brawn. That is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
The characters on the front of Egg Sin's bus says Uncle Egg's toy guarantees a good time.
Now, see, that I understand. That makes perfect sense to me. So I'm surprised we got it this far. There was so much that that I cut out that I was like, I don't know if we're going to make it even with this cutout. But anyway, we did it.
Yay.
We did it. We got it on budget and on schedule.
Awesome.
Let's transition to what the critics think. The critics gave it a 78%. The audience gave it an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes because this movie is awesome.
Yeah.
It just wasn't properly marketed. That's all it was. This movie is awesome. IMDb reviews gave it 7.3 out of 10. So what do they say on Rotten Tomatoes?
What do you mean? Like, you mean what did Roger Ebert said?
Yeah, what did Roger Ebert,
Roger Ebert
frenemy, what did
from
Roger
Chicago
Ebert say at Rotten
Sun
Tomatoes?
Times. Special effects don't mean much unless we care about the characters who are surrounded by them. And in this movie, the characters often seem to exist only to fill up the foregrounds.
You know what? I don't think Roger Ebert liked this movie.
He didn't like a lot of movies, let's be honest. He didn't like a lot of Common Man movies. No. Mike Massey with Gone with the Twins. For every genuine martial art feat or gruesome monstrosity, there's a sequence of riotous slapstick to counter the brief seriousness.
Yes. Actually, there was definitely a lot of that. I didn't really take the movie as serious at all. I mean, I wouldn't call it a straight comedy. It more falls under the category of camp. It was mad campy. So that's what I think this movie is. So so we are all in agreement. This is a great movie. If you haven't seen this movie, don't worry, we didn't spoil it for you. It's a simple movie.
Yeah.
We didn't even really go deep on it. But y'all need to check this movie out. It was awesome. So, in the next episode, we're going to be talking about Running Scare. And I hadn't seen that movie in so long, I've totally forgot it. all I remember is that when I watched it, I liked it. So when we watch it, it's going to be a surprise to me too. So I want to thank our guest, Dauna Needom. She has been spectacular.
Thanks,
Dauna, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast and a lot of fun. So thank you for having me, and I'd love to do it again if you want.
Oh yeah, we could definitely do that. And I want to know, I mentioned a bunch of your socials at the top of the show, but are there any other socials or any other things that you're doing that you want to let our audience know that you want to check out?
I'm about to launch the second episode of the Better 2 podcast, and I guess the easiest way to find me would be dmneedom, needom.com. All my socials are there. I do some TikToks occasionally. But most everything you need to know about me is there, and the social links and everything. It's just the easiest way to find me.
Absolutely. I actually went to your website and I was like, well, it's so easy to find all of your socials from your website. And that's great. So once again, if you like this show, then please rate us, write a review, share it with someone at Backlick Cinema on Twitter or your favorite social media sites. Believe me, it matters. Be safe, hug your loved ones, and be outstanding.